General Hospital spoilers for the next 2 weeks, from May 19th to May 30th, 2025. Predictions: Port Charles is on the brink of upheaval over the next 2 weeks, as loyalties fracture, secrets erupt, and the fight for truth and custody takes center stage. A pall of tension hangs over Port Charles as Isaiah Gannon steps tentatively into the fray to aid Portia Robinson. Ever since the whispers began that Curtis Ashford was moving toward divorce, Portia has felt the walls closing in around her, both in her marriage and her conscience. The chatter in the Corinthos mansion's echoing hallways suggests that Curtis, having uncovered damning evidence of Portia's covert alliance with Drew Kane, sees betrayal in every shared glance. He cannot stomach the idea that the woman he vowed to cherish has been, however reluctantly, an accomplice to Drew's manipulative schemes. Isaiah arrives at Kelly's, where Portia sits alone under the dim glow of a lamp, nursing a coffee that has long since gone cold. He finds her trembling, guilt etched into every line of her face. She admits, in a voice barely above a whisper, that she felt trapped. Drew's promises of safety for their son, Rocco, and veiled threats of exposure if she defied him, left her with no choice but to serve as his clandestine emissary. Isaiah's steady presence reminds her of better days, of shared laughter at Luke's cabin, of Rocco's first steps. He gently assures her that no secret is beyond redemption, and together they sketch a plan. Isaiah will gather evidence to authenticate Portia's claim that coercion, not willfulness, drove her actions. In doing so, he restores a glimmer of hope in Portia's storm-tossed heart, though Curtis's response remains an unwritten tragedy. Meanwhile, across town at Kelly's, an altogether different drama unfolds. Cody Bell and Lulu Spencer confront Dante Falconeri with the hard truth. Brooke Lynn Quartermain's webs of lies have ensnared them all. The three of them stand amid scattered coffee cups and half-eaten pastries, symbols of the innocence lost to deception. Lulu, fierce determination sparking in her eyes, declares that Gio Palmieri is undeniably the son of Brooke Lynn. Dante reels, heart hammering, as Lulu vows to prove Joe's paternity in court, if need be. Yet in that moment of triumph, doubt seeps in, a slip of the tongue, a hesitation in Lulu's conviction. Dante glimpses the possibility that while Brooke Lynn is indeed Joe's mother, the identity of his father may not be as certain as Lulu believes. Back at the Quartermain mansion, Brooke Lynn sits alone in her childhood bedroom, walls once adorned with pastel dreams now closing in like prison bars. The truth has escaped her, floating on Lulu's accusing words, and she wonders which way to turn. Does she confess Joe's true paternity, risking Dante's wrath and Joe's heartbreak? Or does she continue the charade, keeping the fragile balance of alliances and affections intact? The corridors of the mansion seem to whisper with judgment, and Brooke Lynn feels ancestral eyes upon her, reminders of her lineage's demands for propriety at any cost. As the week marches on, Carly Spencer sharpens her legal strategy for the looming custody battle over her grandson, Michael Corinthos' son. In a sleek conference room at the law offices of Diane Miller, Carly lays out her case with surgical precision, stability, family legacy, and a track record of unwavering devotion to those in her care. Diane, ever the seasoned litigator, nods approvingly as she draws up motions and prepares witnesses. Yet beneath Carly's steely exterior lies a storm of emotion, pride in her son, anger at Willow's sudden awakening of maternal instinct, and fear that Michael's fragility could undermine their position. Rumors swirl that someone unexpected will appear in the courtroom to shift the balance of power. Some whisper that Michael himself, still in recovery, still fragile, might defy medical advice to testify on behalf of his mother. Others speculate that a figure long presumed absent, perhaps Sonny's estranged brother, or a secret witness from Port Charles's underworld, will emerge to reveal truths that could upend the proceedings. Carly steels herself for every possibility, even as her heart yearns for a straightforward victory, justice for her family, nothing more. But the most explosive turn of this tangled saga may lie with Brooke Lynn once more. Having discovered that her own mother, Lois Cerullo, has concealed the truth about Joe's parentage for 22 years, Brooke Lynn is consumed by a primal sense of betrayal. The mother-daughter bond, once unbreakable, now lies in shards at Brooke Lynn's feet. In a moment of merciless clarity, she orders Lois to leave Port Charles, never to darken her doorstep again. It is a judgment born of wounded pride and the fear that Lois's deception will taint Joe's future irrevocably. As Lois packs her belongings, photos of a younger Brooke Lynn, letters from family members, mementos of a life lived under false pretenses, she trembles with regret and sorrow. She knows that her lie, once meant to protect her daughter and granddaughter, has backfired catastrophically. Gio, caught in the crossfire of family vendettas, retreats into silence. In his eyes flickers the spark of vengeance, not only against Lois, who robbed him of truth, but also against the grandmother who unleashed this betrayal. He vows retribution against both Brooke Lynn and Lois, an act of revenge that promises to shatter whatever fragile piece might have remained in their fractured clan. In the gilded event ballroom of Crimson Magazine's fundraiser, Lucy Coe moves among the startled guests, her practiced smile a mask for the fraying nerves beneath. Gasps ripple through the crowd as Jen Sidwell, a titan of the fashion world, appears in handcuffs, escorted by Anna Devane and Max Scorpio. Lucy's quick wit and calm demeanor soothe the frightened whispers. She guides a trembling socialite to a velvet couch, offering reassurance that the scandal will blow over and that the charity's coffers remain secure. Yet Lucy's mind races. She knows that as soon as Jen's posts bail, the charges will dissolve like sugar in rain, leaving Anna exposed to the vengeful wrath of a man accustomed to having his way. Anna, usually unflappable, casts worried glances at Mac as they process Jen's through the glimmering lobby. The detective in her recognizes the fragility of political capital and public perception. She fears that the case, if it hinges on tenuous evidence, could collapse under scrutiny. Jens, with contacts in high places, will retaliate. And Anna herself, as the arresting officer, will find her reputation and career under attack. Mac offers a silent, reassuring nod, his presence a bulwark against her rising panic. But in Port Charles, no ally is ever far from becoming an adversary, and Anna knows it. Meanwhile, Sonny Corinthos seethes behind the polished doors of Kelly's. His frustration at Willow Corinthos' impatience and Carly's single-minded pursuit of custody simmers like acid. Sonny's plan was simple: allow Michael to regain his strength, let him return home to a measure of normalcy, and then trigger the custody hearing. Timing, Sonny insists, is everything. But Willow and Carly have rejected this counsel, driven by fear that Michael's condition will worsen or that unforeseen complications could rob them of their chance. Sonny's voice echoes through the empty cafe as he rails against their recklessness. That same night, Willow strides into Jocelyn Jax's loft, fury radiating from her like heat from an open flame. Jocelyn, having learned of the impending custody battle, confronted Willow with a demand to call off the legal war until Michael is stable. Willow, still raw from Sonny's admonitions, meets Jocelyn's logic with an incendiary retort: Michael's welfare cannot be postponed for months. The argument escalates, voices raised, accusations hurled, until, in a moment of uncontrolled rage, the two women collide in a tangle of limbs and anger. Chairs scrape across hardwood, and broken glass glitters like shards of broken trust. Neither woman backs down, and the fight, both physical and emotional, leaves them bruised, humbled, and more determined than ever to win the battle for Michael's future. Back at the gala, Nina Reeves finds herself seething at the revelation that Drew Kane, the charismatic co-host of the evening's benefit, harbors a dark secret about her. They stand beneath a crystal chandelier, the din of polite applause and champagne flutes rising around them. Drew leans in, voice low, reminding Nina that he knows of her culpability in the incident where she drugged him. Nina's pulse quickens, The room tilts as memories of that night, the betrayal of trust, the threat of exposure, come flooding back. She forces a smile, but the glittering diamonds at her throat feel like shackles. Every word Drew speaks is laced with promise or threat. Expose me, he seems to say, and watch your carefully curated life unravel. As the benefit concludes and guests drift away, Drew slips out into a shadowed corridor to make a call. His tone is clipped as he informs an unseen ally that he has Nina on edge. Port Charles's social elite may applaud now, but soon the city will witness the full extent of his vengeance. His revenge will be served cold, under the pretense of charity and celebration, a reminder that the most toxic toxins are not always in a drink, but in whispered insinuations. In a dimly lit warehouse near the docks, Jason Morgan stands with his back to a flickering light, face sculpted in determination. Sonny's latest message crackles over the secure line. Updates on the rooftop explosion at the Corinthos penthouse and Sonny's own near-fatal attack in Los Angeles. Each incident bears the trademark of professional precision, a signature that speaks of someone who knows the underworld's mechanisms all too well. Jason's jaw tightens as he recalls the clues uncovered in Sonny's office, a fragment of a unique bullet casing, a pattern of security camera cuts, and a cryptic note referencing the architect. A surge of adrenaline courses through Jason as a new informant steps forward. A low-level operative with an axe to grind against the same mysterious puppeteer. Under Jason's steely gaze, the man divulges that the attacks were orchestrated not by a rival crime family, but by someone within Sonny's own circle, intending to destabilize him at his weakest moment. Every revelation coalesces into a chilling portrait of betrayal. The architect is closer to home than anyone suspects. Jason vows to expose the mastermind, to make them pay for every life they endangered, every alliance they shattered. As dawn breaks over Port Charles, every player in this dangerous game braces for the courtroom battles, the personal showdowns, and the subterranean war that promises to erupt once the city's masks fall away. Loyalties will be tested, secrets will be laid bare, and the aftermath will reshape relationships forever. In the coming days, as Port Charles hurtles toward its own reckoning, one truth becomes clear. In a town built on secrets, the loudest explosion is always the one inside your own heart. The air in Port Charles seems to vibrate with the repercussions of every secret laid bare. As the courtroom doors swing closed behind the late-night altercation between Willow and Jocelyn, the legal gears begin to turn toward a hearing that promises more fireworks than any judge could have anticipated. Carly, still nursing bruises that bear silent witness to Willow's defiance, steels herself in Diane Miller's office once more. Diane lays out the day's strategy: call Dr. Simon Neville to testify on Michael's medical stability, summon expert witnesses on emergency child relocation, and, most importantly, prepare to counter any last-minute surprises. Carly's fingers tighten around the edge of the mahogany table as she pictures one hope above all: Michael, standing tall in that witness box, reclaiming his own narrative. Meanwhile, on the fringes of the courthouse, Isaiah Gannon slips through a side entrance, Portia Robinson at his side. Under the courthouse's soft uplighting, she trembles, half expectant of Curtis's wrath. But instead of confrontation, they find the mercurial detective pacing in the hallway, cell phone pressed to his ear. He's moments away from delivering evidence of Drew Kane's coercion, security footage, snippets of recorded threats, even witness statements from guards at Ferncliff. As Curtis ends the call, his expression is inscrutable, part relief, part fury. Portia braces herself, ready for his verdict, but he merely nods once, curt and controlled, before turning to Diane Miller with an offer. He will testify that Portia's actions were under duress. In that narrow space between exoneration and heartbreak, Portia glimpses a future that may still hold her family together, but only if she can live with the sacrifices she's made. Not far away, Lulu and Dante pore over paternity reports under the harsh, fluorescent lights of the hospital's genetic testing lab. Lulu's excitement dims when the lab technician frowns at the results. Joe's DNA matches Brooke Lynn with undeniable certainty, but the putative father's sample shows anomalies, markers that suggest tampering or perhaps even a deliberate substitution. Dante's jaw clenches. He presses Lulu to recall every detail of the sample collection, wondering if Brooke Lynn orchestrated a deception deeper than anyone imagines. Lulu's face goes pale. What began as a crusade for truth threatens to unravel into a tangle of confidentiality breaches and legal violations. If Brooke Lynn did meddle with the tests, the fallout could destroy Dante's career as much as it could shatter Brooke Lynn's carefully constructed facade. At the Quartermaine mansion that evening, Brooke Lynn sits alone in the grand salon, moonlight filtering through arched windows. Her reflection in a tall mirror looks back at her with accusing eyes. She touches the locket around her neck, the one Lois gave her when she was a child, and feels the weight of 2 decades of lies. Across town, Lois, on her way to a modest motel room, sobs into her hands as she recounts her actions. A single mother's fear for her daughter's future, the memories of a cold reception after a teenage pregnancy, the promise she made to protect Brooke Lynn at all costs, they swirl in her mind like passing ghosts. Neither will sleep that night. The chasm between mother and daughter yawns wider than ever. And somewhere between their heartbreak, Gio plots his reckoning, vowing that when he confronts them both, there will be no mercy, only the satisfaction of unmasking a lie that has stained his entire life. Upstairs at the Scarlet Hotel, Lucy co-pours 2 glasses of scotch for Anna and Mac. The grand chandelier overhead throws fractured prisms of light across the lobby's marble floor. Anna's ears still ring from the echo of her own gavel-like command when she arrested Jen Sidwell moments ago. She admits to Lucy in a hushed tone that even she wonders whether the evidence will hold. Mac, ever the rock, reassures her that the paperwork is airtight, but Anna shakes her head. It's not just about evidence, she murmurs. It's about the fallout. Sidwell's empire stretches into every corner of the city. If he's released on a technicality, he'll come for me. Lucy sets a comforting hand on Anna's arm. Then we ensure he never gets his hands on enough political clout to turn the tide, she says. And as they plan discreetly which allies in the district attorney's office can shore up Anna's case, the hotel's guests drift back inside, blissfully unaware that Port Charles's elite are rallying behind a police captain they consider one of their own. In the Corinthos penthouse, Sonny's pent-up wrath finds no outlet but the empty walls. He runs his hand over the smooth surface of the grand piano, recalling every late-night session he shared with Michael, melodies meant to soothe, to heal. Now, Michael's fragile body and the custody battle threaten to rend the family apart. Valerie, Sonny's quietly steadfast assistant, approaches with an update. The custody hearing has been moved up 2 days. Carly's camp pushed for immediate action, catching Sonny off guard, and he snaps at her regretfully before regaining control. He knows there is no turning back. That night, Willow and Jocelyn nurse their bruises in separate locations, Willow staring at a solitary swing in the garden of the Corinthos estate, counting the seconds since her fight with Jocelyn. Jocelyn perched on the rooftop of Kelly's, headphones in, refusing to let the silence undo her. Both replay the smack of flesh, the flash of betrayal in each other's eyes. But beneath the anger, a shared love for Michael links them. Willow, clutching a worn photo of her son, mutters an apology into the night air. Jocelyn, tracing the letters in Michael's name on her own bracelet, vows to find a compromise if only Willow would let her. Yet when dawn comes, both women rise determined to press on, convinced their path is the right one, even if it means standing alone. Across town, Drew Kane leans against a marble column in the gallery hall of the fundraiser, eyes locked on Nina Reeves as she speaks with a group of donors. Every gesture Nina makes seems rehearsed, every laugh forced. He knows that when he reveals the full extent of her misdeeds, that she engineered his collapse with a potent sedative, her world will unravel in public humiliation. But Drew isn't content with mere exposure. He wants Nina's empire crumbled. As he steps forward, his voice silky but deadly, he asks Nina a question about the gala's sponsor list. When she hesitates, her glossy mask cracks, and Drew smiles thinly. "I thought you'd remember," he says. After all, memory isn't something you can drug away forever. Meanwhile, Jason Morgan drives through empty streets toward the docks, replaying the informant's cryptic directions. The flash of his headlights reveals rows of shipping containers, shadows lurking between them. He steps out, gun drawn, senses coiled like a spring. In a whisper that carries weight far beyond the warehouse walls, he calls out, "Show yourself." A figure steps from the gloom, face obscured. "You don't know the half of it," the figure says. "This goes beyond Sonny's enemies. It's about who calls the shots in this town." Jason's steel blue gaze narrows. "Then you'd better start talking," he replies. As the first light of morning touches Port Charles, alliances have shifted, wounds have been inflicted, and the chessboard is set for the next move. Portia braces for Curtis's response. Dante and Lulu confront the possibility of being pawns in Brooke Lynn's deception. Carly and Diane prepare to face the unforeseen in court. Brooke Lynn and Lois reckon with a betrayal that spans decades. Anna and Lucy plot a legal offensive. Sonny readies to protect his son at any cost. Willow and Jocelyn search for a fragile peace. Nina braces for public ruin. And Jason Hunter Morgan stands on the brink of unraveling the greatest conspiracy the city has ever known. In a town built on secrets, the true reckoning is only just beginning, and every heart holds a potential bomb.